quite invested in the sport as a fan, I think I've got a really good understanding of what is exciting and what we can look forward to.
Yeah.
And this is a fight I look forward to because for Richie, he's actually had a phenomenal run with us. When I was actually thinking about it today, like when he left Mayweather Promotions, it was a young, undefeated kid that was nowhere near a world title, had no profile, really. And then we went out, we boxed him on the undercard here. Then he headlined in Orlando against Cepeda. Then he headlined against Lemos in Las Vegas. Then he headlined in Puerto Rico against Paro to win the world title.
Yeah.
Now he's headlining at MSG against Kambosos. So I think Richie hasn't quite got the credit that he deserves. And I think this is the fight that could help him get there. For Kambosos, who I've grown to really like as well, because he's a tenacious little fucker. Like he's really like, and that's what, you know, this whole thing at the moment about, and I like it from Turkey as well, you know, like the Tom and Jerry stuff and stuff like that. You know what you're going to get with Kambosos. He's desperate to win, desperate. And he's got money, so he's not here for the payday. He's just here for a bit of legacy. Yeah. And he'll be very tough to beat tonight. Richie's the better fighter, skill-wise, but it'll be interesting to see how he deals with the occasion as well.
And in terms of what's next for the winner, Pacquiao's aligned with the PBC, same with Gary Antoine Russell. Nobody really knows what's happening with Teofimo Lopez. Yeah. Those are the three other title holders in the division. Where do you see the winner of this fight going in terms of their position?
I mean, Kambosos, when I signed him, has already kind of said, oh, when I beat Hitchins, I want to run it back with Teo, which obviously they've got history, you know. For Richie, I think Richie against Teofimo Lopez is a great fight. Two kids out of Brooklyn, you know, it's a good fight. See if he moves to 47. I don't really understand the desire for Teo to move to 47. I don't think he needs to physically. Mm-hmm. Like when he hydrated and they weighed in for the last show, he was like 145 pounds.
Yeah.
So I'm not so sure, but also, you know, there's good opportunities now for people to work together because we've got an open path with PBC. We're talking to them. We work with Golden Boy a lot now. So Puello against Matias, the winner's got to fight Dalton-Smith, which is our guy. Russell, you know, could be a fight there. And we'll see what happens with the likes of, you know, Keyshawn moving up, those kind of guys.
Thank you.
Speaking of the Keyshawn, could there be a possibility of Keyshawn versus Richardson Hitchins?
Yeah, I mean, look, who knows what's happening with Keyshawn? I mean, something's not right about him, you know, and he's got to deal with that. And I don't know him well enough to know what's going on, but something's going on. And I think he's got to come back. He'll be up at 140 now. I guess he'll use the opportunity with the WBO to put himself in what might be a mandatory position, you know, which is potentially for Teofimo. And if Teofimo moves up, he could be fighting for the vacant title. So yeah, I think Keyshawn is obviously going to be around at 140.
The other day we had talked about Boots, and you know, you confirmed that more than likely he's going to 154. That made its way around social media, and then like his path forward became like the conversation online a little bit. You know, Virgil seems to be out, but you spoke about that being a potential fight. What do you think is the most realistic option if it's not Virgil? Could it be Tellez? He's got the interim 154 title. You know, could it be maybe a different guy? You know, Murdzaliev is out there. He's you know.
I think like there's no final decision from Boots yet, and he'll make that decision and he'll announce in due course. But you know, one of the reasons that we didn't jump at the Teo fight is because of the weight and because it's a real possibility that he's going to move to 54. So they asked us if we'd fight Virgil Ortiz on August 16th. We said yes. And then they said Virgil wasn't available in August. He's not going to fight till later in the year. So we now say we'll probably fight in August, September, and then we're up for Virgil Ortiz as well. November, December, whenever. For us, I think it would be good to have that kind of interim fight. I like the Bohachik fight, you know, Mendoza, Thurman, like whoever. I spoke to Louis de Cubas from PBC and said, let me know who you've got at 154. I don't think people are going to be jumping out to fight him, if I'm honest. But, you know, there's a decent payday there and a big fight.
Looking at 175, Eddie, we've got obviously Better Be Bivol. Right under that, we've got a crop of title contenders, especially out of England. The one that I'm going to ask you about is obviously Callum Smith, rumored to be taking on David Benavidez. What's the status of that fight and what's going on with Callum Smith right
So
now?
we've had an offer from PBC for Callum Smith to fight Benavidez. We're negotiating with them at the moment. It's a great fight, and we all know that Benavidez is a great fighter. You know, it's not an easy fight at all. Callum was the Ring Magazine world champion at 168 pounds. He'd love another shot at the title. There's no easy championship at 175. You know, you've either got Bivol or Benavidez. So there is a very good chance that Callum will take that fight against Benavidez, and we'll be making our decision over the next 1 or 2 weeks.
So that would be an offer for a fight here in the United States
Yeah.
for Callum.
Yeah.
Eddie, you know, Tank, he's got his hands full. He's got a rematch coming up with Lamont Roach soon, and no guarantee that that fight goes his way. But, you know, beyond that, you've got two fighters, one who's been calling him out for a long time, Shakur, and now Richardson and Hitchins, you know, in the mix, and it seems like they've been going back and forth. Is that a fight? I mean, obviously, I know you'd love to get Tank in with either of those guys, but you think there's any more potential with Richardson and Hitchins than there was with Shakur?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what Heyman's going to want to do with Tank. Like, he's got the fight with Roach coming up. Is that dates up?
August 16th.
as well, yeah. So, you know, that's a tough fight. But then after that, who is there for him to fight? You know, I think it's the same with Shakur. You know, when Shakur beats Zepeda, you know, he could attempt to unify. Obviously, you've got Abdullah Mason, Sam Noakes. You've got Andy Cruz, he's going to fight. Touchwood, he wins tonight. He's going to fight Murataya for the IBF world title. So there's those unification fights for Shakur, but you know, the fight really is Shakur v Tank, but it's just a case of whether Tank and their team would want to accept that.
What do you think is the holdup there? It's just like because I'm sure Tank is not afraid of Shakur, but you think is it like pride getting in his way, or maybe the online
I don't know,
talk?
yeah, but like, to be honest with you, Shakur is unbelievably humble about that fight. You know, where he goes, I'm the B-side, I'm getting less money, I understand. So, I don't know, it's just whether Tank or Heyman want to give him that fight.
Let's just stay in a theoretical world, because again, they've been going back and forth. They are in different weight classes by 5 pounds. But Richardson Hitchins versus Tank, how do you see that fight going if it were to ever happen?
Richardson's going to be tough for anybody to beat. You know, I mean, you see that tonight. But again, the problem is with Richardson, and this was the problem with Boots, but we built Boots now, is that people will use the excuse of, he's not that big a name, or he doesn't have that kind of profile, as an excuse not to fight him. So we built Boots, he started selling out arenas, now you get great money to fight him. But the problem is, with Richie, you don't yet. So tonight is a step towards that. You know, because everyone, why would I fight Richard Hitchins? It's like that. When someone says that, that means they're very good and they're tough to beat. Do you know what I mean? Because if they weren't, they'd just fight them.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Brian Norman Jr. is fighting next week. You obviously made overtures and offers in his direction for a Boots fight. You think there's a bit of regret there that they've lost that opportunity?
No, I just think they don't want the Boots fight. I mean, we offered them 1.8 million before, and they asked for 2 million. And then something happened, I can't remember now. And then this time, we went back after the Stanionis fight, and we said, we'll give you the 2 million. And they said, oh no, we're going to Japan. And I said, no, I know that, but let's lock it in for later in the year.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we don't want to talk about any fights till after the Japan fight. I'm like, why? I don't know, because we're just focused on that. It's like, well, I know Brian's focused on that, but your team, top rank, were happy to do the deal.
Yeah.
But Brian wasn't. So, I don't know. I mean, he's a good fighter, but...
And would that be a potential opponent potentially for Conor Benn? Should he move back
Look,
down
you know,
to 147?
if Boots moves to 54, then Paddy Donovan against Lewis Crocker will be for the vacant IBF world title.
Yeah.
Then the winner of that may well fight Conor Benn for the world welterweight title, or opens up a huge fight with Brian Garcia, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, and if Boots vacates, Giasov, who is the mandatory for the Super Championship, will either fight for that vacant title or will get ordered to fight Rowley for the championship.
Yeah.
And Giasov beats Rowley. So we are going to be placed, I believe, if Boots does vacate, with two welterweight world championships. And obviously Conor Benn, after the next Eubank fight, will want to revert to 147. And it's quite important for me that he gets a shot at that world title. But the 147 division is going to be red hot over the next 12 months because a lot of those guys are coming up. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised to see Keyshawn at 47, like soon. Probably fight at 140, but you're going to see a lot of guys up at 147. I think those kind of glory years that we saw a little while ago, with Spence and Crawford, and even Kell Brook, Amir Khan, Mayweather, like all those.
Garcia.
I think that's going to come back again.
Yeah, and at 200 pounds, we saw Jai Pacquiao get an impressive win recently. I believe he broke his opponent's jaw.
Yeah.
However, the opponent really wasn't, I would say, elite or world level. Talk about the challenges of getting that kind of elite or world level opponent for Jai Pacquiao. We haven't really seen him in there with one since the Bradis fight, which seems like it was a long time ago.
It's more over that part of the world.
Yeah.
So, like to make the financials work in Australia, it's very difficult when Jai has been making obviously Riyadh season money over there. So you're quite limited in terms of what you can pay for an opponent.
Yeah.
So, he's fighting top 15 guys. Naika's a good fighter, but, he was actually the mandatory at the time.
Yeah.
Squayo was just a voluntary out of the top 15, well overmatched, but it is what it is, and you can't really do too much. Like, Zerdo, Opatara against Zerdo is a really good fight.
Absolutely.
And it's just a fight that should be made naturally, but you can't just click your fingers if the other guy doesn't want the fight. Like, that's a fight that I believe that His Excellency is willing to pay for. He's invested heavily in Jai Opatara over the years, so he wants a big fight with him. And after Zerdo fights Dorticus in July, he should just say, I want to fight Jai. I'm not so sure he will.
So when you say the other guy, you're referring specifically to the fighter, not to De La Hoya's promoter?
No, I think Oscar will. I mean, Oscar knows boxing. He knows how good Opatara is. But Oscar's not afraid to make big fights. But it's everybody's got to buy into that. And it is a dangerous fight. But it's supposed to be a dangerous fight, isn't it? I mean, like, that's... If it's a lot of money and it's a unification fight, it should be a dangerous fight. But it's the best fight in the division, and it's one of the best fights out there, to be honest with you. So, you've got Mikalayan, he's the rematch in Badu Jack. I would like Jai's next two fights to be back-to-back, unifications. See him become undisputed at cruiserweight and then move to heavyweight. I really think he can win world championships at heavyweight as well.
No stopover at Bridgerweight?
No, doesn't exist in my book.
Eddie, can we get an honest opinion on the comeback of Manny Pacquiao? We've never seen somebody get inducted into the Hall of Fame and then come back. And
I think it's very difficult to criticise Manny because one, he's such a nice human being, and two, he's an all-time legend. But you can't just be out for 5 years, like already be done, and then come back, have a couple of exhibitions, look terrible, and then phone up the WBC and say, stick me in at number. What are you going at, 5 or 9 or something like that? It's like, but also it is a business, and I do understand, but it just makes a little bit of a mockery of the World Championships. And Barrios is not the greatest world champion, but I think he's better than what we saw last time out, when he boxed on the Mike Tyson card. And I think he'll beat Manny Pacquiao quite handily. So you can't really, I'm happy for Manny, but it just shouldn't work out like that. And you'll see a shot legend in the ring, which I think is quite sad, But listen, if he wants to do it and he's got the will to do it, good luck to him. But I just don't think you should be out for 5 years, not fight anybody, and then just stroll back into the rankings because you're Manny Pacquiao. Do the fight, but it shouldn't be for the World Championship, in my opinion. But I don't think he has a chance at all, even though Barrios showed no great form. I just think he'll just be too young and strong for it.
Eddie, you spoke about something earlier that Turkey also had, he tweeted about the Tom and Jerry thing, right?
Yeah.
It seemed like he could have been, I don't want to put word in Turkey's mouth, but alluding to Devin Haney and his performance in his last fight. But just, what are your thoughts on him saying that and it impacting fighter styles. You know, some fighters, it's not necessarily running, but they don't have a necessary like come forward attack or use their power to win. I think it has an impact, and you know, business going forward.
Yeah, I think that I like to see exciting fights, right? We all do. Not everybody fights like that. And as a promoter whose job is to guide the career of a fighter successfully and to see him continue, hopefully, to win, it would be kind of moronic of me to say to a fighter that you've got to stop, you know, you've got to start trading, you've got to start fighting in the pocket. They're like, what? Like, that's not what I do. It's not moronic of Turkey because he's paying the bill and he's not really guiding the career of fighters. Do you know what I mean? He's just saying, I'm paying for entertainment. Fucking entertainment. And I'm overpaying you. So when I overpay you, you better excite me and the fans. And then they don't, and it's like, that was a fucking waste of money. And he's very honest about it. I don't think I could ever say that to a fighter, but what you can say is, to all fighters, just understand this. If you fight like that, no one's going to want to watch you. And if no one wants to watch you, people aren't buying tickets. And if people aren't buying tickets and people aren't tuning in, then you're not going to get opportunities and you're not going to get the money you deserve.